Hello, HazChat listeners. Welcome to another exciting episode of HazChat. I'm one of your co-hosts, Bob Koshignetta, with, I'm going to say it again, my cohort in crime, Mr. Derek Shawman. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, since you asked, first let me start off by saying I appreciate the texts and emails of, when the show didn't drop exactly on July 1st, where the hell are you guys, whatever. And that lets me know that you guys are listening and subscribing, which is brings to the point. We want to make sure that you like and subscribe so you're always notified when the show drops, because as you can tell, what is this, July 7th? We're dropping this one as soon as I get done editing here in a couple hours. I was on vacation because, sometimes you just gotta take a little break. So the wife and I went out west, and we saw a few things and met some cool people and had some interesting adventures. As some of you that follow my personal Facebook page will know that I laughingly shared a Koshik Nano travel agency thing and things you can expect: car problems, hotel problems, airline problems. It was Derek and I had, and we're not going to make this a Bob show by any means, but Derek and I had a travel experience where, what was it, 30 hours, bro, before we got home?
Yes, 30 hours to get from, I believe it was Indiana to Florida.
Right, we could have driven. It was stupid.
We could have bicycled.
Right.
Probably made it in the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And with less stress.
Yeah, way less stressed. The wife and I had a similar experience. We were supposed to be home at midnight last night, or the night before, I guess. Instead, we actually got home at 7 a.m. yesterday for a flight that took off at 2 on Saturday. Went into Sunday. It was just ridiculous. So anyway, moral of the story is, when you travel with moi, expect an exciting adventures. And I got a little.
Just don't travel with Bob.
Don't travel. And I got a little sunburn too.
Travel separately.
I got a little sunburn. We were at one of our travels was, we were in many states, and then we went up to Calgary and old Canada and watched the Calgary Stampede, and which is cool, man. The rodeo was it was pretty cool. So I got a little sunburnish right here, but I don't wear makeup because I just don't wear makeup. So enough gibberish. Anything new with you?
No, nothing new, enjoying hitting about the midway point of summer vacation. So got some vacation of my own going on. And so once we're done wrapping this one up, I'll be heading to the coast here for the weekend and doing a little early birthday celebration. So it'll be good.
Nice. Wait, whose birthday?
Mine.
I know that. Well, since I may not talk to you then, happy birthday, pre-birthday.
Well, thank you. It's the French will be doing a fantastic celebration with fireworks and all sorts of displays. They call it something different. They don't call it Derek Day. They call it Bastille Day. But, I know that their sentiment is to honor me and to celebrate my birthday. That's why they do it all.
As they should. Damn it. All right. Enough of this gibberish. The French celebrate. God love you. All right. How about a little something from our sponsors? Hey, HazChat listeners, looking to boost your skills? Check out respondertraining.com. They've got top-notch responder training and essential tools like their 1-inch propane and CNG flare-off kits, water injection tools, and much more. Train smart, stay safe, and excel in the field. That's respondertraining.com. Enhance your HazMat training with Signal, the most realistic gas detection training on the market. For under $100, you can simulate any detection combination from handheld meters to fixed location monitors, and even confined space scenarios with their universal pump attachment. Signal delivers unlimited range and detector combinations trusted by top teams around the world. Visit signalapp.com or download the app now. Signal, unlimited range, unlimited possibilities. In Our Gear products, built by first responders for first responders. In Our Gear delivers innovative, field-tested tools for every level of hazmat response. The ZMAT card empowers ops-level responders to set the initial tone with quick, easy-to-use hazard identification. The Our Claw line boosts efficiency for technicians in the hot zone, and the WIMS board enhances command competence from behind the steering wheel. Trust in Our Gear, where reliability meets response. InOurGear.net. And we're back, just like that. So
Here we are.
Here we are. So we're going to talk a little bit about decon. This isn't like a real deep dive into it because we could spend hours on it. Matter of fact, if you would like to find out more about decon, please email us at bob@hazmat101consultants.com and we'll talk about our Decon 101 class. But until then, here's a little snippet. So decon really has been, it's not just hosing people off anymore. It was real simple back in the day, kind of like this, which I think the guy on the left might be me, but without all the seasoned gray hair. Derek has,
You've aged well. You've aged well, Bob.
Derek's got a couple cartoons which we'll show maybe at different shows or conferences or whatever in some of our other classes, but it's he and I, one thumbs up, one thumbs down, and I think the one he did with me has got a little too much gray, but I am seasoned or aged like a fine wine. So, but back in the day, and we could say this, it was just hose everybody off. There's been a lot of things that have happened since then, but the science now has taken over, and it's more of a risk-based kind of response thing, right?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, so if we think about like how we did hazmat in the past, you did hazmat the same way that you would do whether you were just in your personal life and you got something on you. Your first reaction is, I'm either going to brush it off or I'm going to rinse it off. Like that's the first reaction, and it's not wrong. And it's something that works. It's something that we've done. If it's a solid, we brush it off. If it's a liquid, we can rinse it off. All those things. But just because it's not wrong doesn't mean it's the best option.
Right.
And we've come a long way, and we've got some other options. And brushing off and rinsing off are always going to be those things that we can easily do, no matter where we are, what we've got. But we need to look and expand that toolbox and look at what are our options. And like Bob said, it's a risk-based response. Do I need to flood this person with water when I could just blot them with a paper towel or some sort of an absorbent? So we'll kind of get a little bit into that. We know that no one's ever talked about decon before, so we're going to be breaking new ground on this. We're going to be pioneers with this podcast.
We're going to be something, that's for sure.
But no, we're going to go a little bit into decon and how we used to do it, how we do it now, what will probably happen in the future. But Bob and I both taught for a very long time at the fire college, and we learned that a lot of what we were doing was not based off of risk-based assessments and wasn't based off of emerging technologies. It was, we have to complete this task to get these people through class and to check off a box that they've learned how to do this. So we were doing technical decon for things that technical decon was never needed for.
Right.
And Bob's got a picture here up of a 3-pool technical decon, and we built training scars by focusing way too much on this process.
Yeah, the picture, for those of you that are listening and not watching us on our YouTube channel, which you should, again, subscribe and like. This is a picture of, it was actually our shift doing training at the academy, doing decon training on a weekend. And yes, kids, you can do training on weekends, by the way. And it's 3 kiddie pools, which and they're not even all the same size, which is the best. And this is what we had at the time. This is, I don't know, circa 2000, I guess, maybe. 2002. That's when I got promoted lieutenant. So right around in there. And, a lot of the problems here is, first off, we're using kiddie pools. just to pick this apart because it's my pitcher and my guys, how far we've changed. So here we've got kiddie pools. We've got hose lines for the hip airs dragged through the decon section, which is a no-no. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because I don't want to hear about your successes. I really don't. I'm happy for you. Okay, here's a golf clap to be a little sarcastic. I want to hear about your failures, and these are our failures right here. So again, those of you that can't see the picture, or those that can, let me explain it. So here's our decon system. These three pools were in a rubber tote that we had on HazMat 1. We've got the hip airs that are not on the same side as the hose line. So we're dragging the air lines through the pool system, which is a major no-no. If you look at the very end, you've got our person that's going to test the guys, right, as they're coming out of decon, and he's dressed with hip air also, but he's taped to the gills all the way around the face and the wrist and so we have progressed a little bit since then. And it just goes to show, but this is something that for our tech class, right? We did it in our tech class, and every
Yeah.
decon, and like Derek was mentioning, we really are, we're making errors in training, like just to get reps done. We're putting guys in level A suit and having them overpack a metal drum. Well, let's think about the properties and things that are in a metal drum. I don't know of any gas that's in a drum that you would need level A suit, right? I mean, so our practices we do in training, unfortunately, become muscle memory, and that's where stuff gets screwed up on the other side.
Yeah, and the most common scenario that we would run in the technician program was, because it was one of the tasks that had to be completed, was chlorine kits, A, B, and C kits, or we'd do an anhydrous ammonia release, and we'd have guys go down range and full level A, and we'd do their whole thing, and they'd come out and do this, and then there came a point where, and I want to even say it was a student that really made me think about it, and we were talking about physical properties, and they were like, "Well, why are we washing the gas? Like what are we doing?"
Right.
I was like, yeah, you got a point. Why are we washing a gas? There's it's not floating around us in a swirl like Pigpen from Charlie Brown. It's dissipating. Unless we got liquid on us that is volatilizing off of our suits, we really aren't carrying that with us. And
Right.
there's better options, whether it be fans, again, spot decontamination. Not everything required this whole shower system, but that's what we grew up under. That's what we were taught, was that these shower systems were the thing, and that everyone had to go through a technical decon. And it was, I think, at some point in time along the line, the science behind it wasn't being taught, even though it was implied and supposed to be understood, but it wasn't being reinforced. So we got to the point that we were just doing it to do it. We're
Right.
setting this up and we're washing people down.
Yeah, and here's a picture of our what we graduated to, so to speak, from the three kiddie pools to our inflatable tents. Um, God, that took I don't even know how many years. Uh, from that picture to the one you see now with the inflatable, I'm gonna guess is about a 15-year difference, maybe
Mm-hmm.
12 to 15 years. So that's how long we kept going until we got the system you see there. That's nuts. But
Well, and
good.
don't forget that in between there, we had, obviously, after September 11th, all
Oof.
these different systems came out. So we
Yeah.
had these multi-tent systems with dividers,
Oh
and
yeah.
we had to
That
have an
took an hour
entire
to set up.
trailer, yeah, just to carry these things. And like we had one that the structure of it is like the collapsible camp chairs that most of you are probably familiar with. And I want to say that probably the first day that we set that thing up, we took it out of service
It
because
got
we
broke.
snapped rods, because guys are like, okay, we've set it up now, take it down. It didn't go down as easy as it went
Right.
up, and
And
it
what
did
do
eventually did
firemen
go
do?
down.
What do firemen do when it doesn't work? They force it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we had roller systems, like we're working at a grocery store offloading produce, that we're putting non-ambulatory patients on backboards, and they're
Ugh,
going through hoops that literally jumping through hoops, basically, that are
right,
spraying them so that we're getting the non-ambulatory people, and all good intentions, and they all do have an application.
right,
But we were focused so much on this concept versus what is the risk analysis, what is the actual problem we're trying to solve, not saying this is what we have, make everything work with this. We need to look at this is what we have, how do we work with that problem and solve it?
right. And in 2005, you had a Graniteville chlorine leak, which was a massive release. So that opened up the eyes to a lot of people of how minuscule, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean as far as small in comparison to the incident, their decon system really was. And so now that things like that happen, so you're having to think, okay, well, what do I do? Well, there's all kinds of things to do if you pre-plan it ahead of time. And what I mean by that is like we do well, I don't anymore, but we do what's the new hot button topic, right? It's called JHat. We do a version of that for special events, and we set up, without going into detail for obvious reasons, a decon system around certain venues, and it's pre-staged because we've planned it out in advance. Now you can't plan a chlorine leak, but you can to a point. If you have a rail line right somewhere and you go, okay, something leaks here and it's going towards this neighborhood, what are we going to do? So you can do some pre-planning, obviously. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's something that came out of that particular incident. So
Well, and it's like you said, I mean, we can't plan for everything, but we can pre-plan.
yeah,
I worked on a pre-plan for utility commission where they know what products they have, they know where those products are always going to be located, and we knew where the target hazards around that utility facility was. So we actually sat down and worked with transparency sheets over a map and kind of figured out wind speed, direction, how far it would go, and had it to where they had these transparencies kind of set up for different wind speeds that they could lay on a map and orient for wind direction and give them an idea. And
right,
then that also included like where they would put their decontamination so they knew that they were setting up upwind, uphill, all those things. So there's a lot about it being it's not one size fits all. We have to scale it to are we dealing with the general public? Are we dealing with two or three people coming out of a meth house that was busted?
right,
Are we dealing with a few hundred people from some sort of an event that got sprayed with something? And we're talking whether it's a hazardous materials release from a typical chemical incident like we think about, or even just like a CF spray
yeah,
because there was some sort of riot control action, something like that going on, or some sort of a civil disturbance. Um, all those things come into play, and there's a big difference between doing gross decon for a large group of people and cleaning off someone who got exposed to something while they were working in a facility. And to be able to say, what plan do we have for that situation? How are we going to start small, go to medium, go big? Can we adjust on the fly as we learn more?
right,
That's the huge concern when it comes to decon because I'm all for doing the dry decon. There's a lot of options out there, electrochemical or electrostatic sprayers, things like that. There's blotting, all those. But when you're talking about large numbers of people, that's where you come into what worked for us before. We can hose people down. I can hose down a large number of
yeah,
people very easily. Then we can address individualized concerns or certain groups that maybe had a different level of exposure. And then the thing too with our own responders, we're going to do something different for them because we're talking about people who are in PPE. So their needs for decon is different than the victims or the exposed people
right.
that we're responding to.
Yeah, and I will tell any department that if you have any kind of social event, obviously we just had the 4th of July, but any type of event, and you are not pre-planning decon for a mass casualty incident, um, you're behind the eight ball already. It's something
Hmm.
as simple as a parking garage. Everybody goes, gosh, we need parking garage. If you can get people into a parking garage, you've accomplished several things. First off, you've isolated them and contained them in one spot. Secondly, you're keeping the looky loos and the news media from looking in. And then the next question is, well, why parking garage? Because they have sprinkler heads. And if I go in there and I start popping sprinkler heads with a pike pole, and the nasty, shitty, rusty water comes out, well, you know what? After that, regular water comes out, and I can do a mass decon in a parking garage of hundreds of people lickety split, and I've contained them in another area instead of having them go all over the place. So just stupid little things like that to help better your plan. But again, if you're not planning, because you know the well, we don't want anybody to know, and Derek and I went through this for years. We don't want anybody to think there's a problem. People feel safer when they see responders walking around. You know, you have a
Hmm.
backpack on for EMS. You're ready for an EMS call. Throw some meters with you. You know, where am I going to take if somebody does, as Derek said, throw some CS spray somewhere? What are we going to do? What's our plan? Plan it out now, not later. Um, and then we go into firefighter decon. Go ahead. You were going to say something before I get on my soapbox about firefighter decon.
Yes, please. Um, and it's also we had that battle with some of the venues that we would cover where it's, do you want to be seen? And I think of it like visual deterrence, the same way that we want law enforcement out in the crowd to be seen. You should have your fire personnel, your EMS personnel, your hazmat personnel out there being seen, because that visual deterrence could be the thing. I mean, obviously, someone who's super motivated is going to do what they're going to do. They're going to attempt something, but the person who maybe was not incredibly motivated, they were just trying to cause a disturbance, whatever, they might look at it and go, hey, you know what? This is my plan isn't going to work out. Like, I don't
Right.
want to get caught. I'm trying to get away from this. I just wanted to cause a problem and get away. It does give some of that deterrence, and it's kind of like when we go to the airport. Uh, when Bob and I go to the airport, and he makes us travel for 400 hours in the air because of his bad luck. And you have to put your bags through, and you have to, depending on what you're doing, have to take your shoes off, things like that. You're not going to prevent everything, but what you're doing is the person who is moderately motivated, we'll call it, might say, eh, this isn't what I'm going to do, where I'm going to do it. So having that visibility out there, it gives reassurance to the public, and it also is a visual deterrence. It makes people think twice about being a bad actor in that environment. So I think that we should embrace the fact that we're out there doing that. Show the public, we're trying to provide a safe environment. Have things like decontamination pre-planned. I'm all for having something set up, even for something as simple as the holiday that we all just experienced, the independence of the United States. We like to celebrate that by blasting a lot of explosives off in the air. Um, but something as simple as having one of those shells that doesn't lift as high as it should.
Yeah.
And now you've got some burning embers, things like that have come down. You can decontaminate people. You may have to do that. And having those things already set and being able to say, hey, this may not be a hazmat call the way we think about it. We got people who have been exposed to something, and we need to get it off of them. If you already have a system in place ready to go, all you're doing is making the transition of what form of decom, but you at least have a corridor, you have a plan, and you have people in place to do it. So think about it for all the things that you've got. I mean, heck, with down here in Florida, heat is a hazmat as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Right.
Any large scale event, if I can do a mass decon of heat to cool people down instead of having to transport them out somewhere, I would much rather do that. So just things to think about.
Yeah. And as far as the science of it all, let's remember some basics, and this is right out of the ERG book. If it's a solid, it says initial isolation in all directions 75 feet, a liquid 150 feet, and gases 330 feet. So think about that for a second. A solid 75 feet. If I don't step in it or touch it, rather, I'm good. So think about that for your decon. Well, let's see. Touching it, that means it's on. I can probably, as Derek said, brush it off. a liquid. Well, if I don't step in it, but if I do, okay, I might need some water and a surfactant. And then you have a gas. Well, it might be water and surfactant or a simple fan. So just some simple basics. I saw a good video um, from a major department that, and actually it's not just them, it's others as well, that are using fans for decon when they come in contact with things like a chem suicide from hydrogen sulfide in a car. And the initial responders, not everybody, the initial people that were up in the car pulling the person out, they got fanned off, so it just use your head is the bottom line. The quick get on my soapbox about fire decon, post fire decon. Everybody likes to stand in line like a bunch of little ducks using a hose and bucket system or whatever. But if we take a half a second, and you can go to our YouTube channel and look at the video that we did, we've been doing this for years, probably 30, 40 years. I know when I came on, we did it, and it was emergency gross decon, how to get out of your gear properly. But if you simply just get a whisk broom and have somebody get the chunks of crap off of you and take your helmet off, unsling your air pack, and go through the system again, watch the video. You can get out of it and minimize your cross contamination. And then if you're having to go back in because you're in rehab, you're not exposing yourself as much because you've hosed it off on the ground instead of on you. And there's all kinds of things about vulnerability spots if you're using water and things like that, which, that's a topic for another day. But the bottom line is there are other alternatives. When I think of decon for firefighters after a fire, I think of like radiation, time, distance, and shielding. Get out of your stuff, as quickly and safely as possible. So again, check out that video on our YouTube channel and share it around, do whatever you want. Wow.
Yeah, and one of the things, we've talked about like what we did in the past with decon, kind of where we are now, and we also have to be looking at where we're going in the future with different things.
Yeah.
Depending on different types of chemicals that are going to be coming about, they might interact differently, different types of threats, whether they're biological threats, and really like integrating. We're starting to see some AI getting into our technology, and being able to have technology that communicates with itself, communicates with other components of the system, communicates with incident command, to where basically we can say we're getting these types of readings, and that information is being fed out to a decon officer, and they can quickly adapt what their initial setup is to accommodate the types of readings that are coming through without having to do the same level of tracking down to try to figure out what it is through research. That'll be very interesting to see how that evolves over time. If with it, whether through AI or different types of technology, just being able to say people are having these symptoms, this is how the product presents, this is what we've got, and being able to have that down the line of this is where our decon is. Here's our long-term follow-up. Here's our information for hospitals, all of those things, to where what was a huge challenge for research, being able to leverage some of that new emerging technology to really make that research pop off a lot faster. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes from there.
Yeah. And something too, don't just do the technical decon, the 3-pull system, whatever, because that's what the chiefs want to see, or the news media. If you're doing something because you can back it up, this is an education moment. Do what you need to do. And then when the chiefs or the news come and go, well, why didn't you do the pull system? Educate them as to why. Because a lot of them think that, it's you got to do the technical decon all the time. No, you don't. If you do some basic assessment and size up of the properties of the chemical that you're dealing with, you'll find that you probably don't have to do it as much as you think. So, wow, that was a quick 30 minutes. And we didn't even touch the surface of this. I think we might have to do a part 2.
You mean we didn't do a deep decon? We just did a surface decon?
Oh, well played. Well played.
We just applied water, but it's a very viscous
and
we need some
surfactants.
Yes. We need to dig in there a little bit more. Maybe we'll find some people out there that are very knowledgeable in some of the emerging technologies, and have them come on with us later on and give a little more insight into where that's going, because it's definitely,
Oh, it's evolving
as much
crazy.
as it stayed the same, it's also evolving.
Yeah.
So
I would
it
say it's evolving almost as fast as the meters that are and different technology detection equipment that's coming out nowadays.
mhm.
So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, we'll definitely do a part two for this. But again, guys and gals, just size up what you got. That's the bottom line here, and that's what we're trying to get across. That you don't always need to do the three pool system. You don't always need to do wet decon. There are other options, and you need to explore them and pre-plan them now. That's the key to this, and the whole idea behind this show is pre-plan what you got to do. Don't try and figure it out at 3 a.m. or when you have a crowd of people rushing you because it's not going to work. I'm here to tell you, it's not going to work at all. So, before we anything else before I hit the other stuff?
Worst case scenario, just lay some newspaper over top of whatever the spill is. You'll be fine.
There you go. Yeah, and it's
If you
and
can't
just
see it, it's not there.
and sprinkle some absorbent on it. It's magic dust, and it'll all be good. Oh, good God. All right. Before we go, here's some social media sites. As we mentioned before, our YouTube channel, HazMat 101 Consultants HazChat. We've got a bunch of them. We also have a bunch of short videos, just little quick tips and nuggets. Also, follow us on Facebook. And the HazChat show is on all platforms now. So you can listen to it on whatever your favorite platform is or watch it, as I said, and our YouTube channel. And we're pleased to announce that hopefully coming out, not hopefully, it will be coming out late summer, early fall, new book called Hazards in Hindsight, Reflections on Risk and Readiness. And these are actual incidents that I've ran, Derek ran. So we've got some things out there and a couple other people have run as well. Just some lessons learned so we can all help and learn from each other. And then our websites, as I mentioned, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and our webpage. The HazMat Guys Roundtable, first Tuesday of every month, 8 p.m. Eastern. Myself, Bobby Salveson, Jeff Scientech, and Mike Monaco do a live show. You can make fun of us or whatever. Check that out. And then the HazMat Group 2, I'm one of the admins for that, and I'm proud to say that we are over 10,000 members, which is awesome. HazMatter Group and Common Sense. These are all great social media sites to ask questions. You got a problem with a meter, what have you. Everybody's willing to help, and you'll get response pretty quick from people. So, without further ado, Derek, last words of wisdom.
Enjoy your summer. Stay cool.
Stay cool, kids. All right, everybody, take care. And as Derek said, stay cool. Enjoy the rest of the summer. More importantly, while you're just on vacation, why not check out another HazChat episode that you might have missed? Like and subscribe. Stay safe.